Hello guys and gals and welcome back to Legendary Champions. Today we're taking a look at Captain America. Alright, let's jump right in, and we're starting on the alter ego side, as we always do, with Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers has 3 recovery, and his ability is Living Legend. Reduce the cost of the first ally played each round by 1. And then set up, search your deck and discard pile for the Captain America shield. Upgrade and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. It's also got a hand size of 6 and 11 hit points. Hand size hit points are pretty standard. His recovery for 11 hit points is a little bit low. And his ability, you can see it right out of the gate. He comes with leadership cards, so his ability is, goes right along with that. But you're definitely going to find a use for that no matter what aspect you play. There's plenty of allies that you can play in here, and the basic cards that you can add to really get a good use out of that ability. And then his setup, that's a great ability to have. I'm glad that, of course, it's right there at the beginning, because you're playing a Captain America, of course you're going to want a shield, right? You want to have that while you're playing as much as possible. So pretty standard hand size hit points. Let's go ahead and flip to his hero side. We have Captain America. Great stats on this: 2 thwart, 2 attack, and 2 defense. And his ability, he's an Avenger and a soldier. His ability is I can do this all day. Action, discard 1 card from your hand. Ready, Captain America, limit once per round. His hand size goes down to 5 on the hero side. So standard hand size on both sides. His stats are wonderful: 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 defense, just like Black Panther, so effective on all fronts. His ability, I can do this all day, is really great. To be able to untap is excellent. It just allows so much versatility for your hero, whether it's clearing status cards or being able to effectively do any one of those things. You really have to have 2. It seems like in all of those, any of those categories, you want to have at least a 2 for it to be effective. Anything else, that just seems like almost a waste of time to use. Like, there's just other effective ways to use those if they're not at least a 2. So that's Captain America. And then his signature ally is Agent 13, Sharon Carter. So if you don't know, in the comics, Sharon Carter is his main romantic interest, and not Peggy Carter like it is in the movies. But anyways, so 3 cost ally. She has 2 thwart, 1 attack, consequential damage on both of those, and 3 hit points. Her response is, after Agent 13 enters play, remove 2 threat from a scheme. So she's great for helping out with threat. Captain America, though, he's got the 2 thwart already there. We've talked about how helpful that is to have on your hero, especially when you can untap and be able to do it twice in 1 turn. So I can already see that Captain America is a very good thwarter. And this is just going to improve that point even more. 0 cost event, Fearless Determination. Hero action, Captain America gets +1 thwart until the end of the phase. Draw 1 card. This is a fantastic card. Very few cards in any trading card games, LCGs, whatever, are basically free to play. I mean, you discard this, you play it, you get 1 thwart, and you get a replacement card for it. You're basically just getting 1+1 thwart for free. It's an excellent card. Captain America already has good stats. This just makes him a monster thwarter, a one-man thwarting machine. He's got 2 copies of this as well, so excellent card. Next we have his big damage card, solo damage card, I'll say. It's a 3-cost event, Heroic Strike. Hero action, attack, deals 6 damage to an enemy. If you pay for this card using a physical resource, stun that enemy. So 3 cost for 6 attack. We've seen better, like with Web Kick and even Tony's 4 that can jump to 8. This seems maybe not as great, but with the ability to stun the enemy is a great added bonus. And also, you know, Captain America probably isn't going to do thematically huge spouts of damage. He would do, you know, kind of lots of smaller attacks. So I'm a big fan of this. Plus, there's just not a lot of ways for heroes to stun. So having that as 3 cards in his deck is really cool. Allows you to lock down the villain really well. And 6 damage is nothing to scoff at. Next we have Shield Block, a 0-cost event. Lots of 0-cost events in here. And its ability is Interrupt Defense. When you would take any amount of damage, exhaust Captain America's shield, prevent all of that damage. This is an amazing card for Captain America. It just allows him to just soak up a ton of damage. And it's just really cool and thematic, right? I love the art on it. You only have to have the shield out. You do have to exhaust it, which means you can't use this twice. But, you know, save it for the really big attacks when it really matters. Also, you're going to have a lot of defense anyway, so it's you should only need it for the really big attacks when you don't want to exhaust. This is very comparable to Backflip, Spider-Man's Backflip. So this one kind of has the cost of having to exhaust the shield. So the Backflip is technically, you know, a better card, but within each hero's kit, again, you have to kind of weigh every bit and aspect of the character. So even though this is technically, you know, has more of a cost to it, it's a lot of fun to play, maybe even more fun to play than the Backflip, just because it's so thematic. So place that over here. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to do a shield block if you didn't have Captain America's shield, right? Next we have 0-cost event, Shield Toss. Hero action, attack, discard X cards from your hand, then return Captain America's shield from play to your hand. So, and then deal 4 damage to X enemies. So it's also very thematic. You know, it's an extra cost for you, but that you're throwing the shield and it's sort of bouncing around enemy to enemy and then coming back to your hand. Really cool. I even like to, when I do it, I like to pass the shield around like I'm hitting the different enemies. Now this one is an excellent card. It's so much fun. It can just destroy a bunch of mid-sized minions. Not every villain has those. You know, but if you're playing like Masters of Evil or the Wrecking Crew, you know, I know they're villains, but this is enemies, so it would apply to them. Or even like Green Goblin's mutagen formula. This is a great way to just hit and most likely take out a lot of medium-sized, you know, tougher enemies that you have on the board. And it's great. It's a 0 cost, so you can just pay, you know, for however much you need. It's also great, even if you like 4 damage, basically for 1 card. You know, you could play this and then just play 1 card to deal 4 damage to the villain. That's a great cost for some damage. It's yeah, just an excellent card. I would say if there's a downside to this card, but besides the cost, it's that, you know, you may be tempted to hold it in your hand for a long time trying to hit a bunch of enemies at once with it. But that's probably not the best idea. You know, use it when you can. It's a great, fun card to play, though. 2 copies of Shield Toss. Next we have Steve's Apartment. It's a 1-cost support. It is unique. And it is Alter Ego action, exhaust Steve's Apartment, draw 1 card, and heal 1 damage from Steve Rogers. So you are going to have to be on your Alter Ego side, but a lot of the supports tend to do that. But other than that, you just have to exhaust it, and then you get a card, and you get a heal 1. So even if you don't have to exhaust while you're on your side, you get to heal some, that's great. But if you are, then it's basically bumping your recovery up to 4 as well, which is cool. So not as good as like Aunt May, but you're getting an extra card out of it too. Also, I really like the locations they add, they're fun. Next we have a 1-cost upgrade, the unique Captain America's helmet. It's an interrupt. When Captain America would be defeated, set his hit point dial to 1 instead, then discard this card. So I really like this card. I like it a lot better than Captain Marvel's helmet. It is about as situational as that one is, though. It's just kind of a fail-safe card. Most of the time you're not going to want to be low enough where you would get hit and be killed, but you know, you could use it as a strategy. Maybe you don't want to exhaust for some reason, but you have a lot of other ways to defend. So I just find this one not being used that much, but I do really like it, and I think it's pretty cool. It's, you know, kind of Captain America is like being beat down to the brink but still not being taken out. Kind of encompasses that a little bit. It's really cool. All right, next we have maybe the crux of his deck here. It's 1-cost upgrade, unique Captain America's shield. It's restricted, max 2 restricted cards per player. I think this may be the first restricted card that we've seen in the game. But if you're familiar with other LCGs, you kind of get the idea. And it's Captain America gets +1 defense and gains retaliate 1. I love that it gives you extra defense. I love that you get to draw it right away, get it out. You're going to want to get it out fast and play it and just leave it there. The longer it's there, the more it does for you, basically. So, unlike other cards that you may sit up with, there may be some that you would use as a resource. This, I would say you would want to get out and keep out as long as you can. The +1 defense is great because Captain America has the untap ability. It encourages you that much more to defend at all, but also because you're getting 3 defense, it means you can block a ton of damage, if not all the damage the villain is throwing at you. And then the retaliate is just a bonus on top of that. Plus, it's also very thematic. Like in the comics, Captain America's shield is supposed to absorb all the impact, right, and even redirect it. So it's kind of like you're punishing the villain for attacking you because his shield is just so powerful. So very cool, just awesome thematic card. And then his last one here is Super Soldier Serum. All right, this is very cool because it basically 2-cost upgrade. It's not unique, and it's resource. Exhaust Super Soldier Serum, generate physical resource. So it's just allowing extra resources, which is basically him being able to do more in his turn, which, like his super soldier ability, is just allowing him to kind of keep going. Right, he's the basically the peak of human performance. Just pressing through, and just has kind of all these resources at his disposal. Plus, you get 2 copies of these, and because they're not unique, you can get them both out and just have a ton of resources. It also is the physical resource. So with Heroic Strike, if you have these down, it's such a really easy way to make sure you get the bonus so that you can stun that villain every time you use it. Okay. So, my thoughts on Captain America. I love Captain America. I mean, he's already one of my favorite heroes, but he's just so well built in this game, to the point that he's probably a little OP. I mean, other characters can do, higher amounts of damage, huge bursts, and things like that, but I'll kind of go over what I think kind of makes him feel that way. But he's just got so much going for him, as far as his strengths are really thwarting. Is one of his biggest strengths. I said he's a one-man thwarter, and he really is. There are other characters who kind of struggle, or maybe you kind of have to build up to be able to do those things. And the two thwart is a big part of that, but him being able to untap means you can do, up to 4, every turn, which is, just crazy, but he has other ways to do that in his kit as well. So thwarting basically isn't a problem for him, but also he's got such ways to prevent damage, such good ways to prevent damage and block damage, that that being defeated also isn't much of a problem for him either. So the 2 ways you would lose, being defeated by the villain and losing to Scheme, are 2 of his biggest strengths. So even though he doesn't do a ton of damage, or big bursts of damage at least, he's able to kind of keep the villain at bay. Pretty much any way that the villain's coming at you, he has a way to significantly shut it down. And I think that's just what makes him feel so OP, especially in like solo play. He's just pretty much any aspect you would use with him, he's going to complement it really well. Other strengths are cost. He really doesn't have a lot of cost. He's got a ton of 0 cost events. He's got the serums, which just give you more resources. The Heroic Strike is really his most expensive card because he can lower Agent 13's cost. Just a ton of low cost stuff in his kit, which means one strategy you might want to use an aspect where you would pay a little bit more for things. So in that vein, he's kind of similar to Black Panther in that he just has more at his disposal that he can pay for, more that he's kind of able to do each turn. Defending and survival, like I said, also big strengths. He just really shuts down what the villain's doing. Weaknesses, really not any, right? I mean, there's not any big thing that the villain can do to slow you down. The one thing I would say, if I had to say something, was the shield. If he loses the shield for some reason, which is possible, that's happened to me before, but his stats are so strong that he and his abilities, he can still use Heroic Strike. He can do a ton of stuff even without the shield, to the point that you probably would be okay even if you lost it. Most valuable card. Okay. I debated this one a lot, even with my wife. I wanted to go with Heroic Strike because you don't have to have the shield in play to use it. but I think it's going to be rare that you lose the shield. There are things that make you discard an upgrade or support, for sure. But there are other, usually you get to choose when that happens. And so, unless that's the only one you have in play, there's usually ways around it, even if that's happening. So, Heroic Strike is a great card, but Shield Block and Shield Toss are a ton of fun. Shield Block may be the funnest card to play in almost any deck, to me. But Shield Toss and of course his shield are just so fun and so thematic. So I'm going to go with Shield Toss. You're kind of using the shield with that. That's maybe cheating a little bit, but you kind of have to use the shield with it. But Shield Toss just does a ton of damage. You can kind of customize it how you need to hit as many as you need, so it can cost you less or more depending on what you want to do. But you can just hit so many enemies with that, and those tough sticky minions that just stay out there and are just a pain and hit you and scheme every turn, and that can just wipe the floor with them, and it's just that's a lot of fun. I even I think I mentioned I like to take the shield out and hit them each, but yeah, it's a great card. So most valuable card, Shield Toss. Weakest card, definitely the helmet for me. Just too situational. Even though I love the card, I love it as part of his kit. It's there's so many other ways to defend with him. You almost don't need it anyway. Again, the only way I can see you maybe wanting to do it is some sort of strategy where you just want to be able to untap more, but you just have such great defense and shield block, and yeah, there's just so many other ways to get around getting beat. Okay, let's look at his obligation and nemesis set real quick. All right, his obligation is Man Out of Time. Love the picture here. We got Peggy Carter, right? And that's just like taken right out of First Avenger. It says, gives to the Steve Rogers player. You may flip to alter ego form, choose to exhaust Steve Rogers, remove Man Out of Time from the game, or discard half of the cards in your hand, rounded down, discard this obligation. It's not too bad of an obligation. Of course, the first part is standard. The second part is being able to choose when you have to discard is infinitely better than random. And really, since you're probably going to be on your hero side, if you're choosing that, then you're only talking about discarding like 2 cards. So, but either one, like switching to Steve Rogers and exhausting, it's just not a rough obligation. So let's take a look at his nemesis. His nemesis is a different story. So we got Baron Zemo. He's unique. Minion, 1 scheme, 3 attack. 5 hit points, it's important. And then Hydra Elite, and he has Quick Strike, which means he's going to attack you immediately when he comes out. While Baron Zemo is engaged with you, you cannot thwart. It's Captain America's nemesis minion. So Baron Zemo definitely is a cut above the rest. He's right up there with the best in the core, maybe the best, strongest nemesis so far. You can see he's got the 5 hit points, so that's going to keep him from being taken one-shotted by the shield toss. The 3 attack he's going to hit you with right away. If you've got the shield on, though, you can absorb that, so that's not too bad. But Quick Strike is never fun to have to deal with. His biggest thing is you can't thwart when he's engaged with you, so that's pretty rough, especially being your biggest strength. You're going to want to get him out of the way as soon as possible. And with the 5 hit points, he's going to be a little bit stickier than some of those other guys. So definitely up there as far as nemesis. And then his side scheme is Hit Squad. When revealed in player order, each player discards the top card of the encounter deck and takes 1 damage for each boost icon discarded this way. And it gets the boost ability and 3 threat per player. So 3 threat per player, that's pretty decent as far as side scheme coming out. And then a damage for each player having to take their own damage. So that's a pretty difficult side scheme to have come out. And then next we have Hydra Soldier. I believe these are the same ones that are in the Legions of Hydra, but definitely tougher minions here. 1 scheme, 2 attack, and then they have the 4 hit points, so they could be hit by the shield toss, but still 4 is high. Plus they have guard, so that means you're not going to be able to attack the villain. But maybe the worst part here, when defeated, deal the engaged player an encounter card. So, these guys get out there, even if you get rid of them early, you're going to have to take an encounter card, which is not fun to have to do. And you got 2 of those guys, so Zemo and those guys coming out, not fun. And then, maybe even worse than that, we have the Treachery Hail Hydra. When revealed, each Hydra minion engaged with a hero attacks that hero. Each player who has not attacked this way searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a Hydra minion and puts it into play engaged with them. Shuffle the encounter deck if it was searched. So, yeah, that's kind of tough on its own for sure, which makes Baron Zemo a very tough nemesis, if not the worst so far. But yeah, if you're playing with this with more Hydra people with the Legions of Hydra, this combined with that is going to be a rough time, because you could have multiple people getting attacked by multiple Hydra minions, and they're all coming out. If they don't have them, it's rough. So that's Captain America set, and his nemesis. Overall, like I said, I think Captain America is my favorite in the game so far. I like pretty much everybody. I think I love how different they are. But Captain America, one of my favorites in general, and so thematic and fun to play. I had a trivia question last time. I think we did She-Hulk. So the question was, how are She-Hulk and Hulk related? And the answer to that is they're cousins. Yeah, she actually got her powers from him through a blood transfusion. So yeah, they're cousins. So next trivia question I have for you is, who is Captain America's arch nemesis in the comics? I know arch nemesis can kind of be subjective, but I think it's pretty well known who his sort of main bad guy is. And it's not Baron Zemo. So that is a main bad guy for him, but he has one that's more prevalent for sure. So who is Captain America's arch nemesis in the comics? So that's Captain America for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope y'all are all staying safe out there. Captain America. Okay. All right. I'll see you next time. Stay legendary, champions.